Hi all, today we are going to discuss about photodetector, a photonic device. We are very much familiar with LEDs and lasers, right? So in LED and laser we know that the conversion processes from electric energy into optical energy or light energy. But here in photodetector we are going to discuss about the reverse process of this, that is to convert light or optical signal into electrical signal. So such devices are called as semiconductor devices, and it is also known as photodetector or light detector, or also it is called as photosensor. The photodetector has three general processes. So the first process is the incident light on the semiconductor generates the carriers. That is, when the light falls or when the photon falls on the semiconductor device or PN junction, it generates the carriers. So you may be thinking about how carriers are generated. So we know that we have two bands, that is valence band and conduction band. So when the electron from the valence band is excited to the conduction band, it creates a hole in the valence band. Hence it creates a electron hole pair. So hence when the electron hole pair is created, then the process is called as carrier generation. Their carriers are generated. The second process is the carriers are transported through the semiconductor to the electrons. And the third process is extraction of the generated carriers are current in the external circuit. Photodetectors are important in optical fiber communication system, that is, it has a broad range of application including infrared sensors in optoisolators and detectors for optical fiber communications. So this is operated in the infrared region from 0.8 to 1.6 micrometer. They demodulate optical signals, that is to convert optical variation to electrical variation, and is amplified and further processed. For these applications, photodetectors must have some basic requirements. So the first requirement is high sensitivity. Photodetectors should be highly sensitive. And the second requirement is high response speed. So what is response speed? I mean, it is the delay time taken for a photodetector to react to a radiation pulse. So the third requirement is low noise, that is photodetector should be in a minimum noise, and photodetector should be compact in size and use low biasing voltage or current, and photodetector should have long operating lifetime and have reasonable cost. So this is about a little information about photodetector. So now let us talk about photoconductor. So if we consider a semiconductor slab, okay, a slab made of semiconductor, and at the both ends of the slab are covered or they are made with ohmic contact. So you may be thinking that what is ohmic contact? So ohmic contact is a low resistance junction which provides current conduction from metal to semiconductor. Okay. So now we have a slab of semiconductor with ohmic contact at both the ends, and we have width W and length L, and when the photon and the thickness of the slab is D. When the photon or incident light falls on it, an electron hole pairs are generated either by band to band transition. So we know we have valence band and conduction band. So if the transition is from one band to another, that is valence band to conduction band, it is called as intrinsic, or by transition involving forbidden gap. We know that forbidden gap is a gap between valence band and conduction band. So if the transition is between the band to band, it is called as intrinsic, and if this transition is between or it is involving forbidden gap energy levels, then it is called extrinsic. So when this happens, this results in increase in the conductivity. So when the photon is falling on the semiconductor, then it increases the conductivity, hence it is called photoconductor. So for an intrinsic photoconductor, the conductivity is given by sigma is equal to Q into mu n plus mu p. Here sigma is, we know that it is conductivity, Q is magnitude of charge of electron, mu n is mobility of electron, and n is concentration of electron, Mu P is mobility of holes and P is concentration of hole. And this increases the conductivity under the illumination. That is when the light is present or when the photon energy is absorbed by the semiconductor. So under illumination, that is when the light is present, it results in the increase of conductivity, which is mainly due to the increase of number of carriers. That is, when the light is present, then the carrier generation is present, and the more number of carriers are present. So if the number of carriers increase, then it results in increase in the conductivity. So here this is the diagram of the processes of intrinsic and extrinsic, that is band to band and forbidden photoexcitation. So for an intrinsic photoconductor, we have a long wavelength cutoff equation. So it is given by lambda c is equal to hc by Eg. So hc is 1.24 divided by Eg is given in electron volt, and the total wavelength is given in micrometer. So here lambda c is the wavelength corresponding to the semiconductor of energy band gap. So Eg is the energy band gap. Okay, so this is in case of intrinsics. Now let us see in the case of extrinsic photoconductor. So in case of extrinsic photoconductor, photoexcitation may occur between the band edge and an energy level in the energy gap. So in this case, the long wavelength cutoff is determined by the depth of the forbidden gap energy level. So here we don't have an equation, but it is determined by the depth of the forbidden gap energy level. In intrinsic photoconductor, it is determined, the wavelength is determined by the equation. Okay, lambda c is equal to hc by Eg. We have a long wavelength cutoff equation for intrinsic, but for an extrinsic photoconductor, it is determined by the depth of the forbidden gap energy level. Okay, now suppose if we consider a photoconductor which is kept under illumination, or which is kept under a light, or a photoconductor which is receiving a photon of energy h nu. At time 0, the number of carriers generated in a unit volume by a given photon flux is n0, and at a later time t, the number of carriers n of t in the same volume decays by recombination is given by n is equal to n0 exponential of minus t by tau. So the decays by recombination is given by n is equal to n0 exponential of minus t by tau. So here n0 is photon flux, t is time, and tau is carrier lifetime. So this is the equation of recombination. Now let us see about the equation of recombination rate, that is d by dt of this n. That is magnitude of d by dt of n is equal to 1 by tau n0 exponential of minus t by tau. So here n0 exponential of minus t by tau is nothing but n. So d by dt of n is equal to n by tau. That is magnitude of dn by dt is equal to n by tau. So from the first figure, we came to know that area is equal to WL. The total number of photons arriving at the surface is P opt divided by h nu per unit time. That is, we know that we have a photoconductor which is receiving photon of energy h nu. So how many or how much total number of photons is arrived is given by P opt divided by h nu per unit time, where P opt is incident optical power and h nu is the photon energy, that is E is equal to h nu. We know, right? Okay. So at steady state, the carrier generation rate G must be equal to the recombination rate n by tau. So that is just now we discussed about recombination rate, that is magnitude of dn by dt is equal to n by tau. So that n by tau is equal to the carrier generation rate G, that is G is equal to n by tau, and it is given by eta of P opt divided by h nu whole divided by WLD. Here eta is the quantum efficiency. So okay, I didn't tell about quantum efficiency. So quantum efficiency denotes the number of carriers generated per photon. Okay, eta denotes the number of carriers generated per photon, and n is the carrier density, that is the number of carriers per unit volume, and p opt is incident optical power, h nu is energy, that is photon energy, and wl is area, and d is the thickness of the detector. So we discussed earlier that when the electron hole pairs are generated, it results in increase in conductivity. Hence the current is also produced, or current is also flowed through it. Hence the photo current flowing between the electrode is given by Ip is equal to sigma E into WD. That's equal to, we know that sigma is conductivity for intrinsic photoconductor. So it is given by Q mu n plus mu pp. Here we are neglecting mu pp because here the current is flowing through electron, not through holes. Okay, so here we are taking only the mobility of electron and concentration of electron. Hence it is given by Q mu n E into WD. So mu n E is given by Vd, that is drift velocity. Here E is electric field, Vd is drift velocity. Hence Ip is equal to Qn Vd into Wd. So we studied earlier that G is equal to N by tau. That is recombination rate and carrier generation rate are equal. So that is equal to eta into P opt divided by h nu whole divided by WLD. So here we are taking the form of n, that is we get the form of n, or we get the equation of n is equal to eta into P opt divided by h nu into tau divided by WLD. So substitute this n in Ip's equation. So we get Ip is equal to Q mu n eta P opt divided by h nu tau E WD whole divided by WLD. So we have WD in numerator as well as in denominator. So WD gets cancelled because it is in both numerator and as well as in denominator. So Ip is equal to Q eta P opt divided by h nu into mu n tau E divided by L. So this is the photocurrents equation. But if we define the primary photocurrent as IPH is equal to Q into eta P opt divided by h nu, then the photocurrent gain is given by the photocurrent divided by primary photocurrent, that is IP divided by IPH. That's equal to Q. Write the equation of Ip, that is Q into eta P opt divided by h nu into mu n tau E divided by L whole divided by Q into eta P opt divided by h nu. So it cancels because the same in the both denominator and numerator, and hence the gain is given by mu n tau E by L. Hence gain is equal to tau divided by TR. Here TR is the transit time, carrier transit time. So this carrier transit time is the time required for an electric or the charge carrier to travel between two electrons. Okay, so hence TR is equal to L by Vd, that is equal to L by mu n E, that is Vd is drift velocity, and drift velocity is given by mu n epsilon. So hence the gain depends on the ratio of carrier lifetime to the transit time, that is tau by TR. Now we are going to discuss about photodiode. Here we are going to discuss about PN junction photodiode. So this PN junction photodiode is one of the simplest photodiode. So the schematic diagram is shown here. So it consists of N plus substrate providing ohmic contact over which the N-type layer is grown, and a PN junction is formed by growing P plus region over its ohmic contact is taken from the P plus region. So here the photon of energy is absorbed and it is connected through a signal current. This PN junction photodiode mainly works in reverse biased, that is P type is connected to the negative terminal of the battery and the N type is connected to the positive terminal of the battery. For visible and neon infrared region, these photodiodes are usually operated under a high reverse bias, keeping the breakdown value at very low. So we may be thinking that why the reverse bias is operated in a very large value. So if we keep the diode in the high reverse bias, then it decreases the transit time through the depletion layer, and it also lowers the capacitance of depletion layer. And due to all these qualities, it makes the diode suitable for high frequency application. Now let us discuss about a parameter called as absorption coefficient, which is denoted by alpha. So this absorption coefficient measures the fraction of incident photoenergy. So this incident photoenergy is responsible for electron hole production, and this production is dependent both on semiconductor material, that is how the semiconductor material is, and it also depends on the range of the incident wavelength. So as we talked about the long wavelength earlier, that the long wavelength cutoff lambda c is given by lambda c is equal to hc divided by eg, that is energy gap. So it's equal to 1.24 divided by Eg. So for short wavelengths, alpha is large. That is for short lambda c, absorption coefficient is large, and the quantum efficiency eta will always be less than 1. And basically, if we talk about the working of a photodiode, and electron hole pairs are formed when the photons of energy, that is when the photodiode gets the photon of energy more than 1.1 electron volt, and when it hits the diode, only then the electron hole pairs are formed. So when the photon enters the depletion region of the diode, it hits the atom with high energy, and so this results in release of electron from the atom. So typically photodiode materials are silicon, germanium, indium, gallium, arsenide and phosphide, and the symbol of photodiode is shown here, shown in this figure. So this is the symbol of photodiode. This is same as light emitting diode, that is LED. That is LED has the arrow mark upwards. The symbol of LED is like we have a diode with arrow mark upward. Here in photodiode, the arrow mark goes downwards, and the terminals of the LED and photodiode are also same. That is, the longer terminals act as anode and the shorter terminal act as cathode. The photodiode includes many other types such as a pin photodiode, Schottky barrier or metal semiconductor photodiode, heterojunction diode, avalanche photodiode, etc. So all these are classified depending upon the efficiency, quantum efficiency and sensitivity. So talking about PIN photodiode, that is PIN photodiode, in front of PIN photodiode an anti-reflection coating is applied in the front surface to reduce the reflection losses. So hence due to this it reduces the reflection losses and increases the quantum efficiency, and this photodiode is also used everywhere, and it is a common photodiode detector. Talking about Schottky barrier diode, they are useful in visible and UV position of the spectrum, and even they are of a high quantum efficiency. And GE and SI, that is germanium and silicon, are widely used for fabricating diode photodetector. Talking about the applications of photodiode, it is widely used in cameras, it is used in safety equipment such as smoke detectors, flame monitors, etc. And it is also used in barcode scanners, it is used in optical fiber communication system, and it also plays a vital role in medical field. It is used in CAT scanners, CT scanners, that is computerized tomography scans, and it is also used in oximeter monitoring, etc. Our next topic is light dependent resistance or LDR. So this LDR is also called as optoresistors or photoresistors, and it is also called as light sensors. So basically this LDR is a photo or opto electronic devices which are used in various switching and circuitry items. LDR is a semiconductor device which offers a high resistance under normal condition. So this LDR works under the principle of photoconductivity, the same what we have discussed in photoconductor. That is, when the light falls on the semiconductor material, the photon's energy is absorbed by the covalent bond electron and it results in electron hole pairs. Hence, this decreases the resistivity of the material, allowing large current to the flow through it. That is, when the electron hole pairs are created, the resistivity decreases and it gives high current because the light has fallen on the material or semiconductor device. So the circuit symbol of a typical LDR is shown here. So there is a resistor with diode arrows, that is downward arrows. Since the resistance of the device varies with the intensity of the incident light, it can be incorporated in various light sensing circuits. It is mainly widely used in light sensing circuits. So if we talk about the resistance of LDR, so the resistance of LDR in the dark is 15 mega ohms and in the bright light is 15 kilo ohms. So this LDR contains a zigzag pattern. So I'll show you in the figure. So this is the zigzag pattern of cadmium sulfide or cadmium selenide. So why is this in the zigzag pattern is to maximize the length of the strip while keeping the component small. Okay, so whose resistance varies as intensity of light. The photoresistors are very sensitive, inexpensive and durable, but the only drawback of this photoresistor is they do not have fast response time. So if we talk about the application of photoresistor or LDR, this LDR is mainly used to switch on the street light, that is automatic street lights. We have nowadays automatic street lights, that is when there is a day the lights are off, street lights are off, and when it gets dark the street lights are on. So the main principle is when the light falls on the LDR, the resistance is low and the current is large, but when it is dark, that is when the LDR is in the dark, the resistance will be very high and the current is low, hence the street light switch ons. And it is also used in burglar alarms, alarm clocks and intensity meters, etc. Hence this LDR detects the presence and absence of a light. Thank you.